What are the criteria that define the value of a certain piece of land?
Clearly, the classics is where is it? So, location. What is it? But then what can you do with it? Because the real estate in itself doesn't have value. It's what you can do with it, which is what a lot of people sort of tend to forget. What our job is to do was to go in and say, okay, this is your asset. So you get all the details from the land registry or the equivalent. Then you would check the zoning. So you go to the town planning authority. So if you think about it as the land registry is just that, it's a registry. So it's, who the owners, who has mortgages, who has rights. That's their job. It says nothing about what you can do with the asset. So then you have to go to the town planning department. From them, they'll give you what the zoning is, agricultural, commercial, whatever it is, how much density you can build, what type of uses you can do. Okay, so that sort of you put the two together. And then you need to go out there and see, okay, what are other people doing in the neighborhood? If I do residential, this is how much I can sell them for. If I do touristic development, if I build a hotel, this is what's going to happen. And then sort of you work your way back and you end up with the value of the project.
We got to be proud. Like an American's proud to have Apple or, Google.
No. We have there is like we took Exnes. We're going. We have Exnes.
There are other many companies.
Exnes, I don't know, FX. You have Viber, which is Cyprus for other different reasons.
Rakuten.
You have a lot of firms that are in Cyprus, and we're proud for them. The hesitation comes from the same way that in the US you are proud, but again, the US is a great example of how the American dream, sort of isn't working. Or has sort of failed out of people is, can Andreas and Maria, who live in a normal life from a normal background, can the average Cypriot have access and benefit from these companies? That's where you see the hesitation, right? Proud for them, they're doing great. My concern is, how do I get Andreas to be the CEO of Exnes?
Understood.
That's my concern.
Welcome to the Financial Frontiers podcast. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that bell icon to get notified when we upload new content. Follow us on Spotify and give us a 5-star rating. It will help the channel, which I hope you love so much. Here's another episode on the Financial Frontiers podcast. My guest today, Pavlos Loizou from Askwire, who's involved in the real estate industry, and but more on a tech, from the tech side of things. So not as a developer, not as a real estate agent, but a tech solution. Askwire provides some kind of a tech solution to the real estate industry, which is interesting for having finance as a topic. Pavlos, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Please introduce yourself. Let's get into this conversation over here about tech, real estate, and all that you do.
Sure. So, as you said, Askwire is a real estate data analytics company. We come from the finance and banking world, to be more exact. So what we saw following the financial crisis, which for many people, it's like in the history books. I know it's strange. But what we saw then was the start of financialization of real estate. So first of all, talking about big banks, non-performing loans, tier 1 capital, all this stuff became sort of the norm. Obviously, we had Grexit, then obviously Brexit, but you had all this stuff that were happening 10 years ago, and suddenly real estate came to the forefront. And at the same time, in terms of banking and finance, but then at the same time, what you had platforms like Airbnb and Booking and everybody else. And now, of course, you have tokenization and you have real estate investment trusts that have, they came across from the US about 15, 20 years ago now. So in essence, what you have is the biggest asset class in the world, which is real estate, especially residential real estate, has gone mainstream. So you are no longer buying, as are many, I'm guessing here on the audience, you're no longer buying real estate to live in or something for your kids. You're buying it as an asset. You're looking at the yield. You're looking at capital appreciation. You're looking at providing a loan, microfinancing, stuff like that. So in this environment, we came and said, okay, our whole sector is stuck in dealing with valuation reports. So you go to the valuer, you ask the valuer to value, this asset. You deal with asking prices from aggregator websites like your Zillows and your Redfins in the US, Zoopla, Spidogatos in Greece, Bazaragi in Cyprus. So we're like, look, this isn't going to work. This is not going to cut it. So we wanted to build a real estate data analytics platform exactly to facilitate, to give insights and facilitate the decision-making process for developers, for the banks, for agents, etc. That's what we have achieved.
Wow. All right. There's a lot to unpack here. So you mentioned Grexit at one point. Can you tell us what that is?
Sure. So Grexit happened, or 2014, and 14, early 15, when there was a change in government in Greece, and there was a discussion under the Syriza, the left-wing government at the time, whether Greece should exit the euro. That was the discussion, and the matter went to a vote. The people of Greece voted for, so to leave. They wanted out. But then the government, who actually said, I'm going to put this to the people, sort of, backtracked and said, yeah, we're not, thank you, but no. And sort of came back. But you had that period where Greece had started coming out from the crisis in late 14. You could see a glimmer. But then the right-wing government under Samaras fell. The left-wing government came on board, and they came and said, look, all this Troika stuff is horrendous. We need to fight against the Troika. And the capital markets, in essence, and the EU won. They won the day, which ended up pushing Greece into further crisis, more distress. The banks collapsed the second time. They needed to be recapitalized again, and it created a lot of problems that are still in Greece, but which nobody talks about.
Yes. So you said Grexit, and obviously in the same context as Brexit. I wasn't aware of any exit of Greece, so that's why I asked.
Sure.
And now that you mentioned it, that Greece was thinking about it as you mentioned it, I'm like, they were discussing. But I completely forgot that piece of information. But super interesting. And so while that was happening, I'm sure it disrupted the real estate market.
Disrupts everything. I mean, let me do a nuance. One of the bad things of where we're living right now, we've had, let's call it from in Cyprus, it would be from 2015 onwards, of things only going up. Greece, maybe 16 onwards, all the things going up. Same with potentially some of the audience here who are in trading. They haven't seen a crisis. We had the blip when Trump came. Wasn't a blip, 15-20% drop. Wasn't a blip. But you haven't had a crisis for a decade. So a lot of people who started their working lives or their careers, let's call them 23, 24, 25, they're now in their mid-30s. They may be managers, they may be owners of businesses, they may be whatever. They've never seen a world where things go down. And that's dangerous. Yes. It is very dangerous. Now, in terms of disruption to just to put things in context, in Greece, in 2024, you had 9 billion of real estate changed hands, right? 9 billion of real estate. That is a record year for the last 10 years. Compared to 2007, right, where it was the previous peak, at the time it was 15 billion.
Oh.
Right. So what you had was, things peaked. I think people don't appreciate how frothy things were
in 2007.
2007.
Because also prices were, I don't know actually this. I'm not sure about the statistic, but I'm just assuming that houses were cheaper in 2007 than they are today, or no?
For new, yes, for sure. For new, for sure. But what you had at the time was the boom. Then was fueled by cheap credit. So you could get credit for everything, for anything. There was no, repayment capabilities or stuff like that. So it was very easy to get a loan. Everybody was happy, stuff like that. So it was a debt infused or fueled rather boom. So what you have in certain cases is that, and of course, with the debt bubble bursting, and this is across Southeastern Europe, etc., and things collapsing the way they did, the people with money had the opportunity to acquire assets, whether that's businesses, whether that's real estate, obviously, which is why now, further down the line, what you have is this aggregation of wealth in the hands of increasingly fewer and fewer people. And that's sort of the landscape that we're working on right now.
So would you say cash is king at this moment in time? Wait for a pop?
I would say that things are fragile. They're more fragile than people sort of think they are. It's very hard. And opportunities, and my dad told me this. He said, instead of sort of spread betting and saying, I'm going to do a small investment here, keep cash, and at some point, something is going to get dislodged, and you need to have the firepower to move in and buy something. I think the way things are right now with the geopolitical landscape, always talking about our region, right? So Southeastern Europe, the way things are right now with geopolitics, the way they keep shifting. What's happening in the US and how is that impacting, you don't know what Trump wakes up and sort of wants or doesn't want. I think the opportunity for something to get dislodged is there. And if somebody wants to sell, then there aren't that many buyers out there for chunky, right? For anything over, I don't know, $500,000, $1 million. Okay. Let alone 10 or more. So, yeah.
Just since you brought that up, I'm going to veer off. Not veer off. I'm going to veer off of what I planned to ask you because you just brought up something that I remembered. I actually saw a post on, I think it was a Cyprus Mail, with I think it was Remo that have made their biggest sale ever in their history.
Yeah.
Some golf estate, 130 million.
Yeah, Secret Valley.
Yeah. And who bought that?
Columbia Ship Management, right. Which is one of the big it's Germans who have lived in Cyprus for the last, I think, 50 years.
Okay.
One of the largest shipping companies here on the island, operating from Cyprus.
Okay.
They own Columbia. Obviously, the main business is the shipping. They own Columbia, the hotel in Pissouri. They own restaurants, stuff like that. And now they've moved into, this type of assets. It's a beautiful property. I mean, I used to manage it, so I know it quite well.
Oh, you know it.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that. We'll get to that about your history and, before founding Askwire, where you were and your experience there. But just my question here is 130 million. For Secret Valley, which I'm sure, obviously, it's a massive plot of land because, to set up 18 holes of a golf course, so you need a lot of land.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, do you make, I'm assuming it also includes some villas, some actual homes that they can resell, some that are not theirs. I'm assuming this. But 130 million just from the golf course, you're going to make that money back?
Okay, very good point. So the specific asset, but to make it more broad, right? When you make a golf course or a marina or stuff like that, but let's go to a golf course, right? Golf is not even your loss leader, right? It's nothing, right? It's the irrelevant bit. The fact that you create the golf creates all these green spaces, creates the branding associated with it. You have your lakes, you have your sand pits, you have that, and it gives sort of an aura to the place. So the golf is there to sort of
elevate the land around.
Correct, exactly. Elevate the land. That's his sole job. And then you have you end up having your clubhouse, couple of restaurants associated with it, your academy, people have somewhere to drink. So it becomes sort of the gathering place for those who live around it. Typically, you would end up having a couple of hotels, and then it's all about the villas for either permanent residents, high net worth individuals. Some of them would be gated. And then you would build quite a few apartments, probably branded and managed by the hotel, which are more the investment product. So this is sort of your classic mix. In the case of Secret Valley, is not different. It's sort of the same thing. It's a rectangular shaped property, more like rectangular shaped property, but it has 800 meters frontage on the beach. On the beach, and then it goes inland. It's 5 million square meters, so it's massive.
Jeez.
It's a massive site.
Okay.
The golf course is already there. So they built the golf course, 18 holes, beautifully done. The clubhouse is there. And it has, it can accommodate, this is from memory, 3 hotels and about, I think, 600 or 700 villas and apartments.
Which are not built yet.
Are not built. Now, for a golf course, golf courses, I was actually talking to someone about golf courses yesterday, so that's why they're like a tech company. So you have significant upfront investment to build the golf, because you need to build the road network, you need to build the water treatment plants, you need all that grass needs to be done, the clubhouse, whatever. So unless you build that and finish, only then can you do the villas and the hotel and everything else. That's why I said it's like a tech startup. You sort of have to go through that valley of death of building all the infrastructure before somebody's like, I can be your client, and whatever. So in this case, what these guys, what Columbia has done is, they're sort of, the valley is
already done.
So, within a matter of months, depending how they structure the agreement, they can actually start selling villas and sort of take it from there.
Okay. The truth is also, in golf, especially when it comes to Cyprus, I play golf.
Okay.
I play golf. I love it. I'm a beginner. It's been 2 years. I at least get the ball lifted, but that's a very difficult sport. But it's an escape. It's beautiful. The green, all of that, the water. Yeah. In Cyprus, not cheap. Okay. It's not cheap. But I'm still like, to make 130 million, how how many subscribers are you going to have? And even at, 5K a year, which is a lot of money for an individual.
Write it off. It's like, how do you call it? It's, think of it like you go to a fancy restaurant and they give you that soup in the beginning from the chef. Yes. That's the golf course. Don't think of the 130 million. 130 million is going to be totally irrelevant in the scheme of things. Because this is a 20-year project. So Aphrodite Hills, right, which is now almost fully developed. I went to the opening in the summer of 2020. We're 2025, and they're still building.
Aphrodite.
But
they've been open for much longer than since 2020.
2020. They started. Before it was the one next door that you're thinking about.
Okay.
Which is the one that sold.
Okay. Aphrodite Hills started in 2020.
2020 was the grand opening when the hotel came to be and whatever.
Oh.
Sorry, not 2030. We're not talking. 2000.
Yes.
Sorry.
That makes more sense.
One more 20 years.
Yes.
Sorry. 2000. Yeah, 25 years.
Now you're talking.
So,
25 years. So not 5 years ago,
25 years ago. So it started, and they're still building houses.
Yes. That's a beautiful day. I mean,
it's very nice. It's very nice. But that's a great example of something that these projects that are multi-decade projects. They're like Canary Wharf, in London. They're like St. Pancras, King Station in London. You have these multi-decade projects that they go through cycles.
Right.
And usually what you end up having is that the founder, the dreamer, goes bust. Then somebody takes over, they go bust again, and they sort of restart. Aphrodite Hills has gone bust twice until now.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So, and now there's Limassol Greens.
Now there's Limassol Greens. Again, a project that sort of needed an oomph from investors from Malta. The building is going well. Yeah. Well, all of these projects were part of, because we're going back in time, is, in the mid-90s, we had our only president was an economist, Yorgos Vasiliou, who came and said, look, the way Cyprus is going, we are becoming too expensive to compete in mass tourism. So, we're going to lose that game to Egypt, to Greece, to Turkey, whatever. So we need to, plus the tourism that we have is too seasonal. So we need to figure out a way to extend the period and move up.
Right.
So what he came and said, they came out and said, okay, what are we going to do? We are going to bring private universities. We're going to allow universities to be developed in Cyprus, which is why we have so many universities. We are going to give permits for 14 golf courses, because there was a study done at the time that said, that's how many you need for people to come 2 or 3 times to be, to want to come. We're going to build marinas, and we're going to build these, village squares, paved village squares to sort of redo the houses. These are sort of some of the things that came under his presidency. And now we're, 20, 30 years now, we're reaping the benefits of that vision.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And just returning back to the golf and how it's different in Cyprus, that over here one would need to pay, let's say, for a membership, and let's say it's 5,000 a year, or a single session at Aphrodite in the high peak season costs €220.
Really? Okay.
For one round. In South Africa, it's €30. And everything included, including a caddy and a really good. So I was in South Africa now 3 months ago. We went with a mate. We went to one of the best, €50 we paid. And so that's a massive difference, right? I mean, and I never thought of it in the way. It's so interesting how you explain the business model. And I was always thinking, how do you make the money? And I did a rough cost estimate on what would it cost to build a golf course in Nicosia. And
no, it's too much. I mean, this goes back 6-7 years ago. We had estimated the infrastructure costs then, only the infrastructure, not the land, to be 30 million. Probably with construction costs rising, etc. Now they should be around 45-50 million, just the infrastructure. So that's the golf course, the road network, sewage, irrigation. That's it. So that's on the 50 million. The thing to bear in mind with golf courses, like some other assets, they're quite interesting in that you start off with the land, or you have the land, so you buy the land, you build the infrastructure, then you start building the houses, so your stock begins to go down, right? But then your revenues, you have another pocket of revenue that starts going up. And what's that? Because the moment I sell an apartment, okay, I get the money, but then I start charging you for facilities management, rentals, right? You can put it in my rental pool, so I'm getting a fee from that. Maybe 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 years you want to sell it, so I'm going to get a fee from that as well. So what you end up doing is that you have the first developer that will go in, get the permits, sort of build it out, and then over time, once the whole thing is built, you end up having a very nice stable income stream, managing all the properties in terms of, as I said, facilities management, property management, running the commercial element, etc. I'm saying that in the context of there was the operational side of Aphrodite Hills was sold a couple of years ago to one of the main hotel operators. So they actually bought the operation of running the whole thing there. This is not dissimilar to other projects where Ellinikon, for example, the redevelopment of the old airport in Athens is being done in the same way. So they are building effectively a municipality. It's not even a neighborhood. It's a whole municipality within Athens because it's the whole airport that is being redeveloped. And again, there the rationale is we build and sell the residential we, the developers, keeping all the commercial and all the F&B because that's our stable income stream for down the line.
What's F&B?
Food and beverage.
Food and beverage.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So
got it. Yeah. Because when people come in and you bring them close to, then all the facilities around there.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's how you make. That's how a shopping mall works.
Right.
Same logic. So you have an anchor tenant. You have one tenant on one side, one on the other side, which forces people to walk up and down. Right. Then typically you have your food court, which you are not looking to make money out from. And then you have sort of the kids area and whatever. So these spaces are your loss leaders. So to give you a sense, the ratio between how much these anchor tenants are paying and how much a normal shop is divided by 10. Okay. So it's tenfold. Right. So
but it attracts people.
It attracts people. So if I'm Inditex Group, Zara, Bershka, because it's the same brand, I may not pay rent at all. Or the rent would be ridiculously low because people will come for my brands, and by coming, they're gonna buy something from somebody next door. So it's what type of game you're trying to play. Small scale developers typically pay the flipping game, so it's like I buy the land, build, sell, redo, whatever. Some of the bigger developers will start branding their products. So you see a building, and it has the same lines, same colors, same whatever, and they're typically able to command a premium. And then the ones that are further down the line, they're like, okay, I'm actually moving into management, interiors. I standardize the materials. I create apps for you to manage your home, and that gives me a subscription income. And because you're managing your home, I can actually sell to you utility providers. You book your car, you can book a car or a holiday through my app. So I get fees down the line. So depending on who you are and how you want to see real estate, you can transform yourself into sort of something different.
Wow. So let's go to your history. You'd mentioned you were involved, you were at the opening of Aphrodite. I would imagine that's because of your involvement somewhere.
Yeah. So my dad was valuer number 2 in Cyprus. He was one of the first charter surveyors on the island. So I grew up in real estate, playing in construction sites, dealing with doing comparables for valuation reports, that type of thing.
So a valuer in what capacity? Working for who?
Working, real estate valuations, valuation journal is a regulated profession. Not only in Cyprus, but across Europe, UK, whatever. So if you want the valuation to be signed off for accounting purposes, to get a mortgage, for litigation, you need a surveyor. You need somebody who is registered to do that sign off. At the time, we're going back now in the 60s in Cyprus, it was not regulated, right? So it wasn't. You needn't be a valuer. You could have been an engineer or an architect, sort of similar-ish, But then, of course, the British came and said, well, hold on a minute. An engineer is a technical thing. Architecture is something totally different. It's more creative, more, how you develop. And then the financial side is something different. So valuation as a profession came to be. So in the 70s, it sort of came here as well. So to sign off a valuation here in Cyprus, same in Greece, as I said, same in Romania and other jurisdictions I've been active in, you need to have that type of permit to sign off.
And anybody can become a valuator. You go and study.
You need to go and study. So you go and study either for 3 years. So I did my undergrad and my master's in real estate.
Oh, that's what you studied. Okay.
Yeah. And then in my case, I also became chartered. So I had to work for 2 years and did another exam to get the same way you become a chartered accountant. Mm-hmm. So similar logic, let's say.
And what are the criteria that define the value of a certain product, of a certain piece of land?
Very, very interesting. So clearly the classics is where is it? So location. So it's where is it, what is it, but then what can you do with it? Because the real estate in itself doesn't have value. It's what you can do with it, which is what a lot of people sort of tend to forget. So what our job is to do was to go in and say, okay, this is your asset. So you get all the details from the land registry or the equivalent. Then you would check the zoning. So you go to the town planning authority. So if you think about it as the land registry is just that, it's a registry. So it's, who the owners, who has mortgages, who has rights, that's their job. It says nothing about what you can do with the asset. So then you have to go to the town planning department, and from them they'll give you what the zoning is, agricultural, commercial, whatever it is, how much density you can build, what type of uses you can do. Okay, so that sort of you put the two together, and then you need to go out there and see, okay, what are other people doing in the neighborhood? If I do residential, this is how much I can sell them for. If I do touristic development, if I build a hotel, this is what's going to happen. And then sort of you work your way back, and you end up with the value of the property.
So the town planning. Do they, when it comes to zoning?
Yeah.
Obviously, my knowledge is not at all. I don't know much, but just from what I've heard and from a little bit of involvement. So zoning, from what I know, is whether it's a agricultural or a residential area.
Yeah.
And so what I understand that means is you're not allowed to build that more than a certain percentage of livable space in the size of the land in the case of agricultural. And residential, it goes up, and then there's obviously limits based on the residential with the height or whatever. I shouldn't be the one who describes the details of this, but my question is, in zoning, is there also regulation around, because you mentioned touristic, or for tourism or for industrial or whatever, that also falls under zoning. It goes a lot more depth in that.
And actually what you described is, first of all, agriculture or residential is the usage. Right. And then
farming or livable.
Farming or livable. Then it goes to husbandry. Husbandry is animals.
Okay.
Can you grow animals? Can you have animals?
Okay.
And then what type of animals? Right. So chickens and pigs and this and that. So it goes to that depth.
Yeah, it's super important because you don't want to have a place with cows next to residential to stink up the place.
Correct. And similarly, heavy industry, right? So, you would try and put heavy industry all in one place, pollution and all the rest, but also in terms of the infrastructure that heavy industry requires. Probably a lot of electricity, trucks going in, exactly. So the job of the town planning department in any jurisdiction, in any country, is you are supposed to have the Ministry of Finance, of Economy. Finance is sort of the wrong translation. So they set the laws of the house, economia, right? So they need to decide what type of economy do we want to have. Are we going to, focus mainly on industry, mainly on tourism? Okay, so they set the scene, right? And then they go to the Ministry of Interior, where under the Ministry of Interior falls the town planning department. And they'll say, okay, guys, we want to boost golf courses, right? So the town planning department is going to sit back and say, okay, you guys told me about, golf courses. So we need 1 million square meters for a golf course. That's sort of the minimum. You need 1 million square meters. Okay, it needs to be clearly outside the city, where you're going to put it. You need decent access because you're going to have sort of traffic. We need water. So these are the areas where we think you should give this type of permits. We need to talk to the water management department. So we're setting the framework under which somebody can build a golf course in the same manner.
Right.
Now, we are lucky in Cyprus in that every single piece of real estate is zoned. Right. So
we've structured it already.
You structured it already.
Okay.
Greece, they keep moving the regulations around. Romania is decent. So in most jurisdictions, it's publicly available information. You go in, you type your address or cadastral number, land registry number, whatever it is, and you get the full zoning details of an asset, which, as you said, tells you what you can do, how much you can build, plot coverage, number of floors, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. And so zoning is one factor in terms of evaluating a property?
Sure, because it's what you can do. It's like your referee.
Right.
Okay. And then the land registry on the other side is who owns what.
Okay.
Those are the two.
Right.
The two sides.
And then you have, in terms of valuation, apart from the zoning, so use and
ownership rights. So what is it, a freehold or a leasehold? Does somebody else have a ground lease maybe on the asset, right? Does somebody have a charge? I mean, do you own a piece of land and I have a right of way through it?
Right.
Could be. Or are there pipes passing through it because the water management department is passing, some underground, whatever pipe from there, or overland cables from the electricity authority. So everything that has to do with rights and easements is governed by the land registry. Everything that your referee is the town planning department. So those are the two sides. And then, of course, you have general legislation around tenancies, around everything else. So it's a bit messy. And then what you end up going back to the related to the financial markets is, pricing signals. So what's for sale, how many for sale, how many have sold, right? So you have your two trading signals there. And then what's the liquidity? What's the depth of the market?
Explain that.
Sure. So
asking. So who's willing to buy?
Who's willing to buy, but also if I'm sitting back, it's like buying shares in a company, could be listed, but there's no liquidity there. I can't get out. So, I go and buy an apartment, 10 million euro. Okay. Is there somebody on the other side
that's willing to buy that back from me?
To buy it back from me, right? In many cases, in small markets, there isn't. So it's a good and a bad thing. You buy a mall in Cyprus, like the South Africans have done, Atterbury has done. They bought two. And you are like, okay, they walked in. They own one of the two malls, or two of the three malls, I could say, here in Nicosia. Is that a good or a bad thing? If they're a long-term investor, then it's fine because they're dominating the market. They're fine. If they ever want to get out, I'm not sure how many people are willing to walk in and into their shoes.
So it's when you said liquidity, I know the term liquidity, and when you mentioned it in the context of real estate and valuation, and you said depending on liquidity, I immediately asked you, what does it mean? But it correlates. It makes sense. Liquidity in the financial services sector, where electronic trading, some instruments that are very liquid means there's a depth. There's a lot of layers in terms of buyers and sellers. So on both sides, there's a lot of liquidity who are willing to buy or sell that specific instrument. And the more liquidity there is, the more tight the spread goes.
Lovely.
The easier it is, obviously, to sell or buy the asset. So
you can borrow against it potentially.
Because the bank can liquidate it easier. And
this is exactly what happened in the financial crisis, right? Because when you look at Cyprus, when you look at Greece, when you look at the publications that were taking place at the time, they came and said, many of the publications were like, the Cypriots and the Greeks own the most more real estate compared to the Germans. And like, yes, which is liquid. So the problem that you have when you are heavily invested in real estate, depending on the type of real estate, is that if things go wrong, real estate by itself is an illiquid asset, right? It's hard to sell.
Right.
So if you need cash, you are stuck, right? You are most probably stuck. And many people think that financial instruments are the ones that are going to solve the problem, because what you come and say, no problem. I'm going to have the real estate here, and then I'm going to create units, shares, ETFs, whatever that sit on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
What they forget is that at time of crisis, if the market signals are not here, this bit of the market doesn't work. And we saw that again, going back in 2008, 2009, 2010, in the UK, where what was happening at the time was people, the crisis started, people taking their money out from the open-ended real estate funds. The funds didn't have the ability to sell the real estate, to cash it, to give you the money. So they raised the gates, right? Raising of the gates. So they
closed the market.
Close the market. You can't sell your units because we can't find the counterparty to sign. And there was, for a few months, if not longer, there was chaos. There was chaos because it's like, but I own units and I want to sell my units. And like, this doesn't work. It doesn't work. But again, this is where, and this is sort of one of the shortcomings, weaknesses of society right now is that, what is, corporate memory, what is, sort of referring to the past to learn things about the future, or sort of to plan things out. We sort of lost that. And there's a lot of hype now through YouTube and TikTok and all those type of things. And it's like, it's easy, right? A lot of the things that people are talking about now are the same thing they were talking 10, 20, 30 years ago. They were just named something else. Mm-hmm. Tokens, timeshare. It's not that different. Yeah. It's the same rationale. Right. And I know somebody, listening to us right now or watching us is screaming like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm like, talk to me and then we can have that conversation. But yeah, this is the world. So in this environment where, we're talking about spreads, we're talking about liquidity, pricing signals and whatever, you're like, okay, I'm going to go and buy an apartment. 200 grand, 300 grand, 100, whatever. How do I start?
Yeah.
And that was the point that we decided to move in and said, okay, you need a platform or you need someone. Platform sounds software-ish. So it's like you need someone who will collect all this data, process it.
Yeah.
Be like your Bloombergs. So like we collect all the data, clean it, standardize it, and then we feed the agents, the valuers, the developers, the banks with whatever it is that they need.
It's a good opportunity. Now let's move on to what AskWire does.
Yeah.
Off of the context of your background, evaluator or whatever it is, having worked in different. You also mentioned to me before we actually went in. You were working. you were one of the initial.
I was the head of real estate for Gordian, which is it's the loan servicer for Apollo Global Management, the American private equity fund. So they bought a portfolio of NPLs of around $3 billion back in 2019.
NPLs, non-performing loans.
Non-performing loans, correct. So we did that. Then before that, I was a partner at a company called Resolute Asset Management out of the UK. We had moved in. We set up the REMU, the Real Estate Management Unit for Bank of Cyprus. Mm-hmm. So I did that in October 15. I stayed there for 3 years to make sure everything was running okay. And I was also head of asset management for that. So I was managing about 1.1 billion of assets with my team. And then before that, I had worked in, again, distressed real estate in Romania, Albania, Serbia, Montenegro, this messy part of the world. But, I started off as doing real estate finance. So I'm a valuer, but I'm a finance guy. So I was working for CBRE, Richard Ellis in London, and then for AXA, investment managers on one of their listed vehicles in AIM, the alternative market in the UK.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So real estate finance, and then with everything falling apart, I moved into that.
And so AskWire started in 2020.
2020, September 2020, yeah.
Okay, and define your mission.
Mission. I would expect that one. The mission is to bring full transparency to the real estate market.
And how do you do that?
And how do you do that? Yeah. So the idea here is we built is by collecting all the publicly available information from governments primarily and having the information about each and every property. And this is key. That sets the landscape. So we know all the real estate that is out there. And then we collect the pricing signals. Asking
from
prices,
websites, from the Bazarakis of the world, from
Correct.
the, let's say one that's more international.
Zillow,
whatever.
Zillow, Zoopla, whatever would be the equivalent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because our logic is, not our logic, but it's like step one, you have all the real estate done. Then you collect what has sold, in the case of Cyprus, from the land registry. So we get all the transactions data. We clean that these are apartments, these are houses, ages, whatever. And then we have crawlers that collect all the properties for sale and for rent every night from various websites and tools like that. So you have all the real estate, you have all the properties, you have information about the real estate market. Then you map it, right? So, maps with pins, classic. BI tool, sort of classic again. And then our clients came and said, okay, can you value this for us? The simple stuff automatically. So we built automated valuation models. Then we built liquidity indices, and then indicators of is the market moving up or down in that subsection. So we did that. That was 2.5 years ago. And then ChatGPT came into our lives. So the clients came and said, well, I'm going to copy paste all of this stuff. So I have to write a report. Can you write the report for me? So we built a valuation workflow management tool sort of sits on top of that. And what we have started experimenting now is moving into the advisory side through AI, right? So you come and say, and this was actually my meeting this morning before I came over, which is, okay, so you have the data, you have all the real estate, you have the price signals, you have the valuation, the indicators, you have all the LLMs and all the tech stuff. Let's build the AI agent that will just, you talk, literally you talk to it and you say, hey, I love golf. I'm thinking about, buying this property. It's here. This is the address. I'm thinking about building on it, 10 houses. What do you think? And then it will come back and say, okay, it's a good idea. It's a bad idea. These are the risks. This is this, that, and the other.
When you say customers, who are your customers?
So right now we have about 70. First of all, we are B2B.
So that's my main question is who is it? Who's asking these questions? Is it me who's looking to buy a small house or property or a small little investment, or B2B? You said B2B, so who's B2B?
Who's B2B? Okay, so we have. So first of all, we have the in Cyprus we have the government, we have the tax office. They've been because when you sell real estate, right? You sell real estate, they need to value the real estate for you to pay taxes on it. So they're one of our key clients. Then we have 3 banks, one in Cyprus, 2 in Greece, insurers who are sitting on the other side because they want to know what are the environmental risks associated with insuring your home.
Okay.
Right? And what's the reconstruction cost to rebuild it so that you are properly insured. Then we have developers. Right, so you are developers, Cybarco, Exnes, BBF, Lambda in Greece, REITs like Trastor in Greece, second largest REIT.
Hang on, you said Exnes?
Yeah.
Are they developers?
No, they are. Exnes is a.
It's a brokerage.
It's a brokerage, but at the same time they are. Actually, Exnes is a very interesting company in that they are brokerage, but they have gone downstream in terms of. In order for them to be able to grow their business, they need more people, right? And so they started bringing or attracting people to Cyprus. But then when you bring people to Cyprus, they can't find homes. And also they can't find schools. And also these people need a car So Exynos right now is the owner of the largest fleet of cars in Cyprus, private fleet. That's sort of step one. They've been that for the last 4 or 5 years. They have under construction right now or acquired 1,000 apartments in Limassol alone, which they plan, and this is public information.
Yeah.
So, which they have, I think it's 25 people, real estate team. So they are sort of building it out. They will fit them out for to be offered primarily to their staff. And then the next step is they're in the process of receiving permits. I think they already got one to build schools.
Oh my!
Yeah, because we need to.
Jeez, a powerhouse.
How
proud to have such a company in Cyprus.
You're asking me as what now? Because
as a Cypriot citizen, you know what? I think it's great. It's great to have.
It's great. Look, it's great to have a company like that. In terms of how forward thinking they are, is great to have them in how much they're investing and how much impact also they're having on the universities by having training programs. They have internship schemes in terms of that. I'm asking, you saw me sort of hold back because I think what's happening in Cyprus, and again, we saw this in Greece, you saw this in other jurisdictions, is that instead of being like coffee, a lot of the foreigners or the foreign investment is like oil and water.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, state universities in Cyprus don't teach in English, right? So from the moment that you have Exynos on the one side coming to the island, 1 in 4 who live in Cyprus are foreigners. You're trying to attract and are not attracting big businesses to come to Cyprus. You have 4 million tourists. But then the government itself, for nationalistic, for whatever reasons, they are not willing to allow state universities to teach in English.
That's going to change because
they have been trying to vote it.
Yes.
For a decade.
Yes.
And every year we will discuss it right before the summer.
Their postgraduates are in English. They've got postgraduates. Their undergraduates are still in Greek. I don't know. You're obviously speaking from some knowledge here that they're not willing, but I got the sense that they're open to it.
They are not open to it, but they have to do it.
Okay.
Because, and this is the thing that we are. We have not decided what we want. So you cannot turn around and say, this is the coffee with the olive oil. What is it that you want? You want non-locals, non-Cypriots to come to the island, live, work here, Yes. Have you trained and adapted your society and your schooling system and your healthcare system and your banking system to do that? No, right? Because when I go, even I was yesterday at my bank, local bank here, right? And they came and said, but you have 22 staff and you have your companies and we see the money flowing in and out of your account. But they said, the money that is flowing through your account is actually going down. You never ask for an overdraft. You never ask for a loan. You never ask. And I'm like, guys, I came to ask for an overdraft, and you said, what real estate are you going to put as collateral? And you want the directors of the company to provide personal guarantees. No, sorry. I can get money under different terms elsewhere. They're stuck. They're stuck in a very specific way of doing business. And I think that's a significant part of the problem, that the island is changed, or part of the island has changed by force to a great extent over the last 3 years. I say by force with so many people coming, and obviously the conflicts in Israel, the economic collapse in Lebanon with so many people moving over from all these countries. So the country has changed very quickly, but at the same time, society has not. But more important, which is okay, but you would expect the government to be the one, to be the shepherd that is going to guide you through, rather than sort of remaining so firm and inert in what's happening around it. I think that's my concern.
It's interesting to hear, the perspective from professionals in different markets. I think just to go back to, so then why the hesitation about what XNES is doing? Because, if they're building the schools and making this available, and we also have the private universities who offer the English, programs. And so I guess maybe we're not missing from the market in that sense, where we do have English universities that are available, even though it's not by the direct effort of the government, which could change, I guess, but in the likes of XNES, and what I was saying, we got to be proud. Like an American's proud to have Apple or, Google.
No. We are, we have, there is, like we took XNES, we're going, we have XNES, there
XM, there's other many companies.
XN, IronFX, you have Viber, which is Cyprus, for other different reasons.
Rakuten.
You have some of the biggest porn websites in Cyprus for different reasons. You have shipping companies, clearly. Right. You have a lot of firms that are in Cyprus, and we're proud for them. The hesitation comes from whether, the same way that in the US you are proud, but again, the US is a great example of how the American dream, sort of isn't working or has sort of failed out of people. Is, can Andreas and Maria, who live in a normal life from a normal background, can the average Cypriot have access and benefit from these companies? That's where you see the hesitation, right?
Got it.
So I'm proud for them.
Yes,
they're doing great. My concern is, how do we facilitate them? How do I get Andreas to be the CEO of XNES?
Understood.
That's my concern.
Right. Well, I guess, if you've got companies like these ones that we brought that are almost setting the stage, the more you have of those, the more it casts open the net for the average Cypriot to be benefited from that. And even, attracting industries. So, my business exists, even though XNES or these bigger ones, some big ones, but not in Cyprus, are my client, but in Cyprus, not directly, but the industry expands in our country as it does in, whichever country. And other business benefit from it. So, lot of moving parts.
It's more socioeconomic there, but it's look, the benefits. If you are in a position to reap the benefits of them being there, it's fine. The moment though you have people who, let me change the topic slightly to give you an example. In Cyprus we have one prison. There's one jail, right? Okay, which has heat capacity, whatever, fine. There are ongoing issues with that jail in terms of people bringing in mobile phones. I'm telling you what I read in the media. They find blades, there are beatings, there are whatever, fine. Yesterday, there was a parliamentary meeting about how they cannot find people to staff certain government positions, one of which was being a prison guard. The salary for a prison guard is 1,200 euro. You must be an idiot to go and accept to be paid 1,200 euro to be working as a prison guard.
Which is a high risk,
dangerous job. And then, but what was more concerning was the comments from the MPs. I'm one of those idiots who actually reads the whole article, right? Who came and saying, the problem is that we need an association for prison guards, who will then go out and encourage young people to want to become prison guards. Like, no, you need to double the salary, and you will see how many people will come. But from the moment our society is built, or there is an element of society that is built, and you see this, by the way, also to the salaries of our ministers. The salaries of our ministers, all of our ministers, is 70,000 euro per year. Our president is 130,000 euro per year. But if the minister of health, of finance, of interior, of whatever, gets 70,000 euro, what type of person are they who are willing to accept to be in that position? This is so if you are, penny conscious, pound foolish. If you're minding the costs too much,
yes,
you're sort of, if you care so much about, we need to save money on this, we need to save money on that, people are going to steal for this. You're missing the bigger picture, which is you have a jail problem, you have a problem with the education system, you have a problem here. Plus, we need to become more open to bringing know-how from overseas. I mean, one of the reasons why these companies excelled the way they did is that we set the framework, and then we told people outside of the island, and of course, some stepped in, like XM, and to come in here and play ball, right? And of course, in the UK, you had a great example where, I remember I was in the UK at the time when they brought Eriksson, Sven-Goran Eriksson, the Swedish football coach, and they're like, can't we find a football coach in the UK who is blah, blah, blah? And they're like, not as good as him. And then you had Fabio Capello, and then you had other, right? So this is the idea. Even the governor of Bank of England was Canadian, who is the now current prime minister. So, what type of game do you want to play? And that's where you see my frustrations that we've set the rules, or some of the rules are set. The people are here, the companies are here, they're doing business, but we parked the bus, to use another football analogy by Mourinho, and we're like, okay, we're staying here and we're reaping the benefits now of collecting higher VAT or of doing all of this and stuff like that, rather than saying, okay, now we need to modernize our healthcare, modernize our education system, bring better people in, and facilitate Andreas and Marina to be able to do the same job. Sorry, instead of talking about real estate and data, we moved into a whole different. I'm sorry, I got all passionate, but yeah.
All good. It's all interesting and valuable. It's good to hear the perspective of people. So just back to, we were on AskWire.
Who are the clients?
And we were discussing the B2B and who the clients are.
Yeah. So it's so banks would be the banks and loan servicers would be one category.
The tax department.
Tax department, correct. Then developers and REITs. So people who have more REITs, real estate investment trusts. And then, recently we're opening up the platform to agents, state agents who sort of need the same level of data and insights. So when you go to an agent to advise you or to find a property, very quickly they can provide you with an auto-generated report or with insights of, how many houses are on the market, how long they've been on the market, stuff like that.
Why have you not targeted the B2C?
It's a good question. Actually, a very good question. The main reason is marketing costs. Plus it puts us in, to an extent, it would put us in a direct competition sort of with our clients. But the B2C, you end up, it's the marketing. To be honest, it's the marketing.
Hang on. Explain to me how it puts you in competition with your clients, because let's just run through that.
Yeah.
You giving data and information easily accessible to the tax department, to the banks of the world, to insurance companies who need that information for their specific purpose.
Correct.
And I was thinking of B2C, and I'm a recent example. So my apartment the tenant just left the day before yesterday, and now I need to put it back on the market. I've got a number in my mind, but it's backed by zero information, just a random check on Bazaraki, and that's it.
Yeah.
I would really use a service
Sure.
like yours.
Yeah. You would be a great client, right? Because you would go online, put your card in, put the details, put your card in, pay, come on the other side. In a matter of seconds, right? You're done. Done, report written, comps, everything is fine. The issue with that, if I can call it that, is that I would then have a phone call probably from one of my estate agents, clients, who would say, Lepton, hold on a minute. This guy was going to come to me to ask me for my opinion, which most probably the agent would be providing to you for free. But on the back of them providing their opinion, they would get you to list the property for them. I know I'm not giving you a good answer.
No, but I understand. But that is only part of an overlap, because in the example of real estate, their value to me now looking for a tenant is, I'm going to go and list it on Bazaraki.
Yeah.
And I'm depending on Bazaraki, whereas a real estate agent has already got a client base. They might, they're actively marketing and looking for tenants and sellers and whatever.
Plus, they will help you then from that point on with the viewing, the negotiation of the contract potentially.
Correct. And there's also the contract templates and all of that.
Yeah.
And I guess the consultancy aspect, which they're getting information from a platform like yours, is maybe one out of the 5 different things.
Correct.
And okay,
let's put it this way.
It's a marketing. I think it's
a marketing, because when we put down the costs of because this is the other thing, we need to be top of mind. I mean, the marketing cost of putting our names out there all the time, and having your good self maybe needing advice every 5 years, 10, means that I'm spending a lot of money to be top of mind of everyone. Because who is my client? Everyone who has real estate. And then, so you're sort of hoping that, somebody would come back. So
that's difficult. There's no need for me to be paying a monthly subscription.
Correct.
For your data, because I don't need that every month.
You don't need that. And even if you needed one off and you're willing to pay 50, 100 euro, maybe you'll do that. But then how are you going to remember me unless I'm giving you content all the time or marketing all the time? So that's why what we did, because you mentioned Bazaragi, we have a partnership with them. They're a client. So Bazaragi came and said, look, I want to be providing this level of insights to my users, right? So they are acquiring the data and the insights from us, and they're making it available for free on their platform. It's new, right? It's the last 3 months.
Nice.
So in this way, exactly, when you want to see, okay, we're giving them sales data. So if you wanted to sell your apartment, you would go in and say, okay, this is what others are selling. Okay, and according to Bazaragi / AskWire, so many apartments have sold at these price points, price per square meter, absolute amounts, whatever. So you get that some sense of what the market is. It's not exactly what you would need, but it sort of gives you a feel of where things are.
Interesting. And you're active in Cyprus, Greece, and Romania.
Correct.
Why those countries?
Cyprus is home.
Yep.
And then effectively what you have, the hardest part in what we are doing is getting the data. Now, what you have in the US with Zillow, Redfin, and everything else is these are companies, these are the equivalent of Zoopla in the UK, Spidogatos in Greece, right? So they are aggregator listing websites, right? Marketplaces. But the way these places started, why in the US you have all this data, is that the federal government in the US 20 years ago forced local governments to open their databases to third parties, right? Gave it a lot of transparency. We had the equivalent thing happen in Europe under the EU Open Data Directive, similar to open banking.
Okay.
Right? So there's the EU Open Data Directive, which is fairly new. It's like 6-7 years old. You have another directive called Inspire that standardizes the data that comes out from land registries. So what you have more data becoming available from governments to third parties. So a third party can go and connect to the town planning department and get all the zoning data, which they couldn't before, right? You had to physically go there and get the data. So, like always, you have different EU countries that are implementing or adhering to these directives at different speeds. Western Europe and Northern Europe, like always, ahead, which means that on the back of more data, companies like ours are already in place and have been developed in those jurisdictions. So we came and said, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to be an aggregation play, right? So we want to build these digital profiles, digital twins of all the real estate across the Balkans, right? As the guys in Northern and Western Europe are growing, at some point, you're going to end up having consolidation. And that's our game. That's our play here. So Greece is rebounding after the crisis. Romania is the second largest economy in Southeastern Europe, sixth largest country in the EU, second fastest growing GDP in the EU. So nobody speaks about Romania, but it's sort of there. So we're like, okay, we have Greece and Romania headquartered in Cyprus because of the tech and all the tax and the IP box and everything. That would be the interesting triangulation for us. I'm not sure how well Romania is going to go. We started a year ago. The data isn't really there. The market's a bit behind, but Greece is sort of what's making it for us, and Cyprus. So yeah, it's a crazy world.
Yeah, super interesting. Pavlo, I think we've been speaking for over an hour already. What a great conversation this one was. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Had a good time.
If there's anything else you want to share, maybe that I didn't ask in the form of a question, information that you think is good to share, please, let's do that and move on to closing comments.
Sure. So, I think when it comes to real estate is, people, what I tell my friends, put it that way, is don't buy real estate, right? Real estate is painful to own. If you want to invest in real estate, buy REITs, real estate investment trusts, buy ETFs, and do it that way.
Give us examples. Is Consalco an example?
No. Consalco, they give loans. Consalco does bridging finance in the UK.
Yes. Isn't it? It's a real estate play.
It's a real estate play in that they give bridging. What Consalco does. Sorry, we should change the topic again.
Yes.
But, so what Consalco does is that. So say I'm a small scale contractor, and they find a mansion or a big house, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy that, refurb, and then I'm going to flip it within 6 months, a year max. That type of financing, if you go to a normal bank, you're not a mortgage. So, okay, you're not big enough to be a developer. It's a high risk, short-term financing. So that gray area, not in a bad way gray, that gray area is covered through these private lenders.
Okay.
So what Consalco does, it has different buckets of money, and it kind of says, okay, I'm buying apartments and I'm flipping them. Okay, you're in that bucket. I'm buying commercial and I'm flipping that and that type of bucket. And they have also a real estate fund, but that's I think that's closed. But that's sort of what they do. I'm talking about places like Vanguard Real Estate, iShares Real Estate. I'm talking about the big stuff.
Okay.
So you go there when it's the market cap is 3 billion. There's depth. You get global diversification. That's what I mean by. Or if you want to go higher risk and more local, go to Greece. There are 14 real estate investment trusts. Trustor, which is our client, is number 2, 400 million of commercial real estate under management. You have 20 people team that are managing the assets.
Okay.
So, nobody has to deal with, let's go and buzz the rag and find the tenant. What we're going to do. That's what I mean by...
Okay. Just to conclude on Consulco, I'm going to invite them to this podcast, let them speak about their product.
No.
It's interesting what they're doing. And so they're not a real estate investment fund. As you mentioned, Vanguard as an example. Vanguard, what did you call it? Vanguard Fund?
Vanguard Real Estate. Vanguard. So it's the Vanguard.
The Vanguard that we know.
And then have a real estate ETF.
Okay.
Right. And then you have different ETFs that for different type of things. So industrial.
And
hotels.
how can one access that product?
I'm guessing through one of the platforms that probably you guys support. So yeah, that's how I invest in real estate. Because I don't have the time or the capacity or the energy to be running after tenants, and I have one apartment that I'm renting out, which is like it's painful.
It is. I know.
Yeah.
I mean, my previous tenant left it in a shambles. I had to fix it. Brand new kitchen. Had to throw in a bunch of money just to fix it up, and now it's a beautiful apartment. Beautiful. I sounded like Trump there. That was by mistake. It's a great apartment, but it's a headache.
It's a headache.
And this sounds super interesting, where let the other people deal with that headache. They do the diversification and all of that stuff. You can put your money, and then there's a return, and you can see the performance.
Of course. And there is liquid. Or with the...
And it's liquid, exactly. So if you buy an apartment, you can't flip it quickly. When you buy it in the fund, cash it out.
Right. And I can buy any type of real estate. I think iShares was $28 a share. I don't need to commit.
Yeah.
I thought. And then somebody will turn and say, yes, but I can get a loan and I can lever up. Yeah, but the underlying real estate, the fund, is already levered.
Right.
So you have leverage already embedded in the bloody thing.
Yeah.
So, there are easier ways to invest. I said to someone the other day, I was in a podcast in Greece, and I said, if you want to eat souvlakia, you don't buy the kebab shop. So if I want to invest in real estate, I don't need to own it. Just buy the share in the REIT, or if you don't even want to own the shares in the specific REIT, buy the ETF that tracks the whole market and deal with it that way. And like you said, sleep. Yeah. Right, and you have REITs that pay dividends monthly, quarterly, whatever, and beautiful. Like you would invest in bonds or you would invest in anything else. So there are other instruments that you can't do that. So So in conclusion, it's like if you're going to invest in real estate, if you want to do direct real estate, be conscious of the time and effort that it takes to do that. Be very conscious of the liquidity profile, because when the market goes out, everybody
wants to sell.
Everybody wants to sell. We saw that in Dubai 15 years ago. Again, nobody remembers what was happening in Dubai. People were going in, buying real estate, getting the sexy cars. And again, you may remember, what was happening is that because a lot of these supercars were on leasing, they would drive them to the airport, dump them in the parking, and then get on the flight back to the UK or back to New York, whatever, and you would end up with all these Ferraris and McLarens in the airport car park abandoned. And for those who don't remember, because I'm sure nobody does, go back to 2007, 8, and 9 and look at the articles about that. So this is the thing when the market. So real estate is great when things are going well. Yet you can make money by playing the long-term game, and it's great. But like many other things, better to stay away. Even I only know how to do this. I know nothing. I wouldn't invest in real estate in that manner. It's better to use financial instruments to do that, and sort of focus on what your what your day job is, if you would like.
And also at the same time, just pulling on another end, and not to kill that market, because Remu needs people to invest.
Sure.
Some people might want to have that sense of control.
Sure.
I can get my place. I'll go and I'll walk into it. I can see it. I can touch the ground.
Yep.
If I want to break this tile and replace it, I can.
And I can say it's mine.
I can say it's mine. It's there. It's tangible. I see it. And I've got full control. Comes with a whole bunch of headache with it.
as long as you are okay.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. As long as you are okay.
Yeah.
And this is, again, because unfortunately I spent from 2004 to 2011, I was in the healthy part of real estate. But then from 11 to 19 or 11 to 20, I was in the non-performing loans. No, I was actually going after the people to repay the loans that they had, right? So, kicking people out of the houses, that was me. Repossessing this. It was in receivership, this building.
This one, I know.
Yep. So, there are the assets in front of you that went to one of the local banks here. So, I saw that side as well. That's why I'm sort of airing, perhaps, it's my scars, let's say. And that's all. So, invest in real estate, but do it. It shouldn't be your primary, stay more liquid, right? And then when you are down to your list of assets, then if you want to go into physical real estate, by all means, but don't start with that.
I think that's sound advice, and hearing the perspective from individuals, especially you're in the game. So it's a game. People need to hear that, because the family talk, the advice that you get from loved ones is put all your money in real estate. You won't lose it. It's there, and you secure yourself. However, there's some details you need to know, and I think that's a great way to kind of close this conversation. Thank you, Pavlo, for your insights. Let the audience know, if you want, where they can find you, and
sure, you can visit our website, ask-wire.com. Test out the platform. It's free for 14 days for individuals as well.
Nice.
For Cyprus and for Greece. So by all means, go in, try it out, and we're there.
Cool. Thank you for your time.
That's a